Greetings and salutations to all of you fluffy, non-fluffy, and all equally lovely individuals and everyone out there who decided to take some time to tune in to this very tired Kitty Fox giving this podcast tonight. A lot has happened since the last episode. The main highlight being Motor City Furry Con, which was this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to get into it in a little more in depth. First, I want to give you sort of a play-by-play of kind of what's been going on and some things that have been on my mind. So before leaving for MCFC last week, preparation for convention is always fun. So had some friends over and we did a little suit cleaning party, which was a lot of fun. We had, I think, about 3 suits that we did entirely, and soaked up the bodysuits and green machine the heads and the paws and all that good stuff. And so we were all prepared. In addition to streaming, of course, and other things. But I think that was a really nice time, getting to bond with friends and getting to enjoy some quality time while we let the suits dry and everything. So cannot dispute any of the happenings because we really enjoyed ourselves, and I'm glad that we got that done before the con. So other than that, the packing portion of the convention is always a trip because had to basically I was working. I was still working throughout this entirety of the lead up. So working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, but ended up leaving work early so that earlier than usual, I should say, so that I could get to my friend's house, whom I was driving with. The packing portion, always interesting because you're constantly on guard. Like, oh my gosh, what did I forget? Is there this or this or that? Did I remember this? And did I, I have a list that I keep of like a packing list of items that I typically bring to a convention. Of course, there's like fursuit and stuff like extra clothes and swimsuit, that kind of thing, toiletries, you name it, everything. So thankfully that list has helped me tremendously over the years, and adding and subtracting things, etc., etc. I spent probably, let me think about this. So it was Wednesday night is when I was packing. I got home from my parents' house about, I want to say like 9:30 or 10, something like that. And as I was packing, my friends who were cleaning their suits over here, they left their suits to dry overnight, like you do, and they came over and got their stuff around 11 and sent them on their way about midnight. And I had about an hour and a half left of packing before I passed out. So I did that. And wow. Yeah, I don't recommend, like, you can pack the night before, but if you're going to do it early enough so that you get plenty of sleep in time for your departure the next day. So yeah, Thursday comes along. I'm a little tired, but by no means am I gonna, sleep on this opportunity, right? So I go to work, everything's well. I'm just kind of like watching the clock the whole time, like, oh, come on, let's go, because my plan was to leave work right after I got out, because I wanted to get to the con space right away. I packed up everything early in the morning on Thursday, And I left out straight from work to my buddy's house, and we left from there. And yeah, I had a realization. I ended up having to make a quick stop at a store because a friend at the convention who was already there requested that I bring a couple things just so he wouldn't have to fly with them. So I ended up getting 3 gallons of distilled water, or spring water rather, because you know it's I guess it's supposedly better than faucet water or well water or like city water, that is, because um, Michigan water, I guess, is not very up to par. Um, and that's totally fair, which I totally understand. Um, it I have to say, I'm not too city water. This is an off topic, but city water doesn't really bother me, and I'll tell you why. It's because I grew up most of my life, actually all my life, pretty much with well water in the backyard. And there have been times in my childhood that the well that we had in my parents' backyard would rust over. Um, and this would happen probably once a year. It would get rusty and hardened, and we did have a water softener, but that thing broke down so many times. Like, I cannot begin to tell you how many times a year that thing would break. And that was kind of a tragedy, actually. Um, and this is gonna it's gonna get a little I'm not trying to, this is not me fishing for pity by any means, but I will be a little more real with you all. Um, there's a part of my childhood that I don't particularly talk about very often for various reasons, and it's not something that I bring up for really any reason, because I don't want to sound like I'm I don't want to sound like I'm needing sympathy or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's more or less the reality of what happened growing up. So I mentioned rusty water. It's because the house that I grew up in was really old, and it was actually a secondhand house, meaning it was a the house was a side project to a different house down the road, right? So basically, what that means is the guy who built the house had extra materials, and he ended up building the house that I grew up with his secondary materials that he had left over from the first house that he built, which is a really nice house. It's the neighbor's house down the road, but um, when you look at it in that perspective, you can tell it is a secondhand house, because there are windows in the house that are not symmetrical, and there are like ceiling beams and floor spaces and spots, and like the overall structure of the house, it doesn't flow very well. So you can kind of tell it was rushed in a lot of ways, and not to mention the foundation has failed quite a bit over the years. But this is the house I grew up in, and what came with that territory was a well, or a irrigation system, a home irrigation system that was already old. I'm pretty sure it was already pre-owned when it got installed. So somewhere about once a year or so, we would have to deal with rusty water. If the softener wasn't doing its job, or it wasn't taking salt, because to those of you who don't know, old school water softeners back in the day used to take salt chips. They were basically the size of ice cubes, and they were put in to essentially soften and purify the water. Um, of course, technology has advanced to the point where we don't need those anymore, but you would have to go down to Walmart, Home Depot, maybe Costco or whatever, to get these salt bags, and they were like buying, it was like buying 10 bags of cat food. Like, giant cat food bags, and you piled these things on a hand cart, a giant hand cart, and you took them home. And I hated it. I hated salt day at home, like going to buy it and then having to fill up the softener and everything. And my dad had to reset that softener multiple times, and that softener, pretty sure we had it for about 20 years. It got repaired so many times, and it got to the point where even the repair guys were like, "Look, we don't have the parts anymore for this ancient thing. Like you need to invest in a water softener." Well, we got it taped up. Every single time they taped it up again, it would work for maybe a month or two, and then it would go out again. Then we get rusty water and all that, and brackish water, and there was one point where the softener and the softener broke, and then not too long after that, the well had to be replaced entirely. So a new hole was drilled in the yard for a new well because it was basically deemed as unsanitary, like unsafe for use anymore. So we had both of those problems going on at the same time. It was to the point where we didn't have running water in the house for about 2 months, 3 months, I believe. This is back when I was in middle school, I remember. So what we had to do was we had to get gallon jugs, like for milk and stuff. Like we would save like distilled water gallons, we would save milk gallons, we would save different like gallon type containers, and we would drive it up to there was a where I grew up. There was a local Baptist church that was on the corner, and we had to go and fill up the water jugs. There were like 10 or 20 water jugs, and we'd have to fill those up at the church. I remember doing this multiple times in a month. We'd have to fill them up at the church and then put them back in our basket, haul them back out to the car, take them home, and then that would be our water basically for the week, right? We'd use it for whatever, washing your hands, making coffee, drinking, whatever. So we had to do that for about 3 months because in all honesty, like there was a time where my family could not afford to fix or replace the household items like the water softener, the well, the entire irrigation system, basically. Um, and I won't go into detail why. Like that's not really something that's for discussion. But there were times when finances were hard. You know, fell into financial stress a lot, and um, yeah, like when it's to the point where you have to go get water from a church, it really makes you think about kind of the luxuries in life and like what we take for granted, right? Like running water and a clean shower and access to food readily and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think back on those times, like those was not easy times for sure. And some of you may be asking, well, how did you shower? How did you take showers or anything? We would we had my family at the time had a membership to a gym, a local gym, that they got through. I can't remember if it was through like one of their jobs or like it was gifted to us for like a year. I think that's what it was. It was like a gift membership for a family plan from uh, a fellow family member for like a year gym membership covered, which is pretty cool, mind you. Um, and yeah, we had to shower at the gym, and if not there, then my grandparents' house. So we'd do our thing. We'd go to the gym or go to my grandparents' house and take a shower, come home, and then do it again the next day and the next day and the next day, and you know. So that was 3 whole months of not having good access, to a good resource. So, all that to say, my original point was, I honestly don't mind. I don't mind like city water. I don't mind well water. I don't mind water that's like slightly, like from the like for example from the faucet. Like I don't use those Brita filters because I don't think I need them. I grew up on way worse conditions, and that's not to say that I could benefit from using like filters, but I just it's not something I'm too worried about. It's just because of the way I grew up, and I'm used to just getting water straight from the sink, no matter how it tastes, right? So, yeah, but by all means, be healthy, watch yourself, take care of your health, and take care of your, what you're putting into your body for sure. But yeah, that was just something that I didn't really think about, you know. So I'm not sure how I got on this tangent, but oh, with the spring water, that's right. So yeah, just thought I'd share that with you. It was it's just something I think about sometimes whenever I'm feeling particularly covetous, or if I'm feeling, you know, like I'm taking excuse me, like I'm taking things for granted. And I think back on those times when it was not easy, and there was some financial turmoil, and we literally had to go, and it's like we were going up to the well to draw water like every week. It was crazy. Like, just the fact that people still have to do that to this day in certain countries, and we take things for granted. Like I said, running water, a clean shower, access to food and a bed, So I think that's what they mean when they say the little things that matter really matter. Like it's what those matter the most, right? So, yeah, I think I think that was worth mentioning. And you know, so next time you feel like you're taking things for granted, just remember that there are plenty in the world that are less fortunate. Living day to day, somehow surviving, and yet we can go straight to our sink and grab a glass of water that's clean. So, so besides that, getting back to MCFC. So as I was saying, I went and got the spring water for my friend, and all worked out great. And then picked up my other friend, and then off we went. So I was just, the whole drive up there, I was really thinking, like, man, this is the second con of the year, but somehow it feels like the first. And I'm so excited to see all my friends. I'm excited to have fun and a good time. I'm so ready to just enjoy this weekend and really not think about anything else. And we get to the hotel. It's about probably 7:30 at this point, and we're grabbing our stuff, we're taking it all in, and of course, like I walk up and the first thing I see is just a group of friends already there, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And we're chatting and everything and having a good time, and it's just it was so nice to just walk up to warm faces and familiar ones, and everybody's greeting and saying hi, and just hugging. It's just it's wonderful. I'm so glad that they were all there, and being able to just kind of just to hang out and be there, and enjoy each other's presence. So that was a lovely gift. Um, but yeah, we got all of our stuff to the room. We ended up. Well, first thing you got to do when you're at a convention, and this is just my routine personally, but first thing I have to do when I get to a con, aside from registration, okay, because I'm one of those people. Like I have a strict set of routine rules that I need to follow, otherwise it will not be good, right? And that is, I get to the hotel, I find parking, so that's number one. If I'm driving, that is. If I'm flying, then that's different. You go straight to your room. But anyway, I uh, I get to the hotel, um, find parking if need be, get all my stuff out at once. I try not to take trips if I can help it. Get all my stuff into the hotel, check in if I have to, and then go up to the room. And then before, depending on the timing of the day, like depending on what time of the day it is, I will unpack. I will take all my stuff out. I will organize it. I will put it where it needs to go, place things here and there where they need to be, make sure everything's in its place, make sure, make sure there are things like accessible in the right places, make sure that there's nothing missing, nothing damaged, etc., etc. So, that being said, yeah, I have to have that routine. I have to have that, set up. Otherwise, I will go crazy later. Okay, so get everything in its place. The hotel room, greet the roommates, make sure that everybody's taken care of, and then, again, depending on the time of day, these two things may overlap or they may swap places depending on what time it is. Then I go down to registration, right? So run down to registration, get in line. Hopefully, it's at a decent time of the day, so you're not waiting in line for too long. But in this case, after getting my room ready for MCFC, and then running down to registration, by that point, registration had, like, was closing in about an hour, so I had an hour to kill, basically. And then, so I went down, and luckily, there was a very short line, like two people in front of me. So I was like, yes, let's go. Love early reg, thank goodness. So I get my stuff. I get my registration, my badge, and all that, and I get everything I need for that. Um, and yeah, it was a good thing I did when I did, because literally 30 seconds after I got down there and got my badge, I see like a line, like a convoy of people walking in and walking to the reg table, and I'm like, "Whoo! Just made it! Just freaking made it!" Like, I'm so glad. So, yeah, I gotta love when things like that happen. It's the little things that you gotta be grateful for, you know? So, um, so ended up, going back upstairs. First shooting, commenced immediately, right? Um, I ended up partial shooting, for the first night. I had a couple of adult beverages, like you do, but it was like a nice little, hey, welcome to MCFC. We're rooming together. The con has started. Clink clink glasses, right? And so we have a couple drinks, and we're just hanging out. And I'm itching at this point. I want to go down and I want a fursuit, so I do. I get in my partial and I go down, and I'm getting like videos for people, and I'm saying hi to people and friends, and yeah, meeting new people and all that, and just having a great time so far. And yeah, there was it was kind of funny. One of the people that I roomed with is one of my Discord admins, actually, and like I have to give him a huge freaking shout out. So I'm gonna name drop Knave Admiral for being such a kind soul, for allowing me to stay in that room, because I would have probably been at the Overflow Hotel if not for his generosity. So thank you, Knave, for hooking me up with the space and being so kind and generous. I really do appreciate you, and I'm so glad that you were able to help me out. So, I had a great time with you all. Um, so I'm yeah, I'm down there in fursuit, and I'm just killing time, just saying hi to people and walking around. And I have to say, it already started, and when I mean it, I mean the the absolute existentialism that is my life already started, because immediately people started to come up to me and they started to say, "Oh my gosh, it's you, Samson, it's you." And I was like, "Whoa, like it's Thursday night. What's going on here?" Right? And as a general, like generally speaking, this happened all weekend long. Like people were constantly coming up and saying, "Oh my gosh, Samson, it's you. I love your videos. I love what you do, etc., etc." And I was like, "Wow, this is insane." Like it got to the point where I lost count of uh, how many people like came up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is not a very big con, and yet people recognize who I am. And it's, this is not to be like, oh my gosh, look at me. No, not at all. It's just, it takes me, it's really, it's like I'm taken aback by it. Like, I don't know what to even think, like, with this. It's just, whoa, like, all weekend long, people were just being so nice and kind, and they would come up to me, ask for a hug, ask for a picture, ask for something, and I would give them stickers, and I'd hug them and tell them, like, have a conversation with them, and them saying that they like what I do is just wow, like absolute wow, you know. And like I said, it happened so much this weekend that it just, by the end of it, I just felt like I was drunk. like, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I was drunk because I couldn't remember, like, I couldn't remember the number of people, and I couldn't fathom the amount that, like, their kind words alone. But it was a good drunkenness, like, it was just a beautiful feeling of just, wow, like, am I really making an impact on people like this? Is there really that many people that have this impact, or like have an impact in their lives because of something that I do? And I think the answer is yes. And I don't really know how to respond to that, if I'm being honest. I'm trying. Like, I guess the best way that I can respond to that is just thank you. Like, thank you all so much who came up and who said something and who were so kind and generous, and like, who were able to, some even having the courage to come up, because there were a couple who they told me in our conversations, oh yeah, I saw you at this con, but I was too scared to come up to you, or I saw you last year, but I didn't get a chance to. And there are some that left comments on, like, my social media and stuff, and they were like, I saw you today, but I was too nervous, and I was like, oh, I just want to hug them so hard, I really do. So I'm just like, to all of you out there who are listening, who maybe, and this is a general statement as well to those, if you see somebody that you admire, whether that's at a convention or like in public or whatever, don't be afraid to go up to them. I know it's easier said than done, because trust me, I still get that same way whenever I see somebody I really admire and want to talk to and introduce myself and stuff. But like, yeah, it's just take that opportunity, because let me tell you something. You're going to regret it more later that you didn't do it than the absolute cringe, sweaty cringe mess that you'll be while you are doing it, right? So the not doing it hurts more than being in the moment and doing it, if that makes sense. So that's what I have to say to that. If any of you out there see me at a convention or an event or something, please feel free to come up, say hi, get a hug, get a picture. Like, I would love to meet you. And the amount of you, well, gosh, the amount of you that I met this weekend, I still can't believe, Like, I'm just as surprised as you are. I'm just as nervous as you are half the time, because, I want to make a good impression, and I want to show you that I really care about you, and I really love you. And like, like, if I could write all of your names down in a book and just like read them every single day and just think about something special about you, I would do it. If I could give every single one of you a hug, I would do it. Which reminds me, there is something that happened on the first day, the technical first day being Friday of the con. I had an encounter with someone on Friday it was honestly really sweet. Like, I'll never forget this encounter for as long as I live. It was right after opening ceremonies. So typically, opening ceremonies are on Friday, if not Thursday night. And in this case, it was Friday morning, so I get suited up, get some breakfast. Well, I get some breakfast first, then I get suited up. See some friends, talk to them, hang out, whatever, and all that, and it's a good time. And um, so then run upstairs. I suit up, get all fluffy, and I head back downstairs and onto opening ceremonies with some friends. And I'm down there and having a good time, listening to them like, oh, okay, here's Motor City FurCon 2025, and here's what to expect, and here's our charity, and so on and so forth. And it was a good time. But right after opening ceremonies, it started happening again. Like I started heading towards the exit, and there were people there just in the foyer area looking, and I I was about to leave, and then all of a sudden it's like from every direction somebody I know comes into view, and it's like, oh, Samson, you're here. Hi, Samson. Oh, hey, it's me. How you doing? And I was like, oh, hi, hi, hi. Giving hugs and asking how they're doing. It's like, oh, it's so good to see you, and all that. Just catching up with people and stuff, and it's going well. Just seeing people that I hadn't seen for a while, and friends that live far away, and getting to see them. Uh, but there was one point during that call it just like the home opener of MCFC there. Uh, I was standing facing the door talking to someone, and then I felt this like light tap on my shoulder. So I turn around, and standing there is a very very small, and when I say small, I mean like shorter, middle aged lady, wearing glasses, and she says, "Oh, hi, are you Samson?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me." And she said, "My son is a really big fan of yours. Can he have a picture?" And then I looked to my left, or I looked to my right, and because in fursuit you don't have very good peripheral vision, so I didn't even realize he was standing there. Uh, so I look, and there's this kid, and he's a kid. He's like probably 16 or 17, I'd imagine, and he's looking at me like he's looking at one of his favorite stuffed toys. Like, that glint that you see in somebody's eyes when you can tell that they're really excited or nervous or really happy. Yeah, he had that look, and I was like, "Oh, hi!" And I asked for his name, and he told me very sheepishly, and I said, "Oh, you know, uh, that I introduced myself, and I asked him if he would like a picture, and he just nodded, and it was it was really sweet because he kind of had like his hands tucked under his chin, kind of like he was like giddy, that like giddy look that you've seen some people do. It's like when you tuck your hands under your chin, you're just like ee like that. He was doing that, and he wasn't saying much. He was very quiet. And I asked him if he wanted a photo, and he said yes. Or no, he just nodded. And so we got in position, and his mom was like, "Okay, so here we go," and took the picture. And um, uh, so I I stood there. I told him, actually, I told both of them, like, "Thank you for your support, thank you for your love, and I'm really glad to meet you. And it's so wonderful that you're here and all that." And um, I just like I'm trying to engage with the kid, try to talk to him a little bit, and he's not really responding. Like he's trying, I can tell. But then finally, I was like, "Would you like a hug?" And then he's just like, "Yes." He said it very clearly, and I put my arms out, and when I tell you, this kid threw his arms around me, yeah, he almost knocked me over. Like he just like, wah, like just yeah. I've not been hugged like that so excitedly and ever. I don't think I can't remember the last time I had a hug like that. It was just so full of love and so full of just like it's like he just let it like it's like the world just like lifted off of his shoulders, and he just let go, and he just threw himself into that hug, like his whole self into that hug. And he just like held me for a long time. It must have been like 30 seconds or something. It was a long time, and I just was like, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you, and keep being you," and saying stuff like that. And he was nodding the whole time, and like this boy was squeezing me, right? And finally I had to just to cut the awkwardness, I had to break free from the hug, but I told them both thank you, and the boy had a big beaming smile on his face, and I will never forget that look ever. Just he just looked at this point he just looked so relaxed and at ease, and like it's like he it's like he I don't know. I don't know. It's like he accomplished a goal almost. He just looked really like accomplished or satisfied, or like he just he finished his quest, in a weird way. And he just yeah, a big smile on his face, and he just was so like by this point he was more relaxed, and he just told me thank you, and I thanked him, and we went our separate ways. So that is an interaction that I will not forget soon enough. That was a beautiful moment, one of the more beautiful moments of that convention for me, and I really would not replace that for anything. As a matter of fact, as I was walking away, I wanted to sob. I wanted to cry because just the whole interaction was just absolutely beautiful. Like there's no denying what it was. It was it was special, you know? And it really does mean a lot knowing that, I could somehow make a difference in that kid's life, and be it through ASMR or whatever, It's just, yeah, wow. So that there really made my day, and it really made my convention, so much. So to those lovely people who came up to me and said their appreciations, and to that kid who you got to meet someone that you really admire, I commend you for taking the step, because you made a memory for me that will last a lifetime, and I will never forget that. So thank you so much. You have no idea what it means to me as much as it means to you. So that was a beautiful moment, and I'll never forget that. So moving on through the day, I fursuited throughout the entire day on Friday and Saturday. On Saturday we had the fursuit parade, and got a lot of footage of that, and saw a bunch of people that I've been wanting to see, and like getting to know and everything. And yeah, like just just remembering how magical fursuiting is through the fursuit parade, and how like why we do what we do, why we as furries do what we do, through fursuiting, through art, through charity, through helping others who can't help themselves, to being supportive to as many as we can. And that's really what it's all about. And not the least of which, being ourselves, being silly, being ourselves, um, and being the best we can be, you know? So, yeah, that's that's something that with every con that I go to always hits me. It's just the as crazy and odd and unusual the furry fandom is, like I'll never forget what it means, what it truly means to be a furry, and why we do what we do. And this is why I'm still in the community to this day, because of the magic that it brings to others. And I think that's the simplest answer that I can give. So we had the Fursuit parade on Saturday. Unfortunately, it was raining outside, so we didn't get very much. Uh, we didn't get very much outside time, but that's okay. You can't win it all. So, um, Saturday night rave was awesome. Once again, had some adult beverages and just hung out with friends. And we had a little wine tasting social, which was really nice. With in a friend's room, so really enjoyed that. Had a good time. Uh, I was having some wine in fursuit as a kitty fox, And when you're laying on the bed, slightly buzzed, that's a good time. I don't recommend drinking too much in fursuit, but if you do, please do it responsibly. Um, Actually, I ended up meeting someone in passing at that little wine social that I didn't realize who it was, because they were out of suit, right? And I heard their name like for a couple of times in the room, and I was like, I wonder if this is the same person that I know about, first suitor person that I know about that I really admire. And it turns out it was because I saw them in suit later, and I was like, hey, are you the person that was in the wine social tasting? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, that was you. You were just out of suit. I didn't realize it. And he was like, oh yeah, there's not many people with my name. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And we got to connect, which was really awesome. I got to connect with another person that I've admired for literal years, like 10 plus years in the furry fandom, right? And now we talk pretty regularly. Like, I don't know how this happened, but like, they ended up coming to my room on Saturday night because they are friends with one of my roomies, right? I was like, holy crap, it's you. I can't believe you're actually here. And I was like, in a very buzzed way because I had had a few drinks, but I was like, I can't believe it's you and I can't believe you're here. And he's like, yeah, it's good to see you too. Because I had met him at many other cons prior to this, but this is like the first con that we really got to, connect on a more personal level, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, so that was awesome. I ended up getting, like, I ended up getting their telegram, which was even better. So now we can chat, and it's great, and I love it, and I can't believe that we're to this level. So, and I've told him before, like, hey, I really admire you. I admire everything you've done since basically 2009 in the furry fandom, and he was like really appreciative of that, and I'm happy to say that I'm just really glad that we got to connect on that level, and now I know him more as a person now than ever before, and that, like, it really helps me in a weird way, kind of like take off those rose-colored glasses a little bit and seeing him as a person as opposed to just someone in the community that I really admire just because of X, Y, and Z. But no, I'm actually like getting to know them as a person, which is honestly a real treat. It's a real gift that I get to do. Like, I get to have that opportunity to get to know them better. So yeah, shout out to my roomie for making that viral networking connection. It just really means a lot. So, and last person I expected to be in that room, like, show up, and I was like, oh, hey, it's you. And sure enough, here they are. So cannot believe that still, but it could not have worked out better. Sunday was interesting. Basically, what had happened was, right? What had happened was, so I've talked about in the past how there there have been bomb threats at this convention for the past 2 years in a row. 2023 and 2024, there were bomb threats at this convention. And wouldn't you know, this year we were all kind of on the spot, like thinking, uh-oh, is it going to happen again? Are we going to have a third one? Well, I'm happy to say, with full confidence, there were no threats this year. As a matter of fact, there was more security and there were more things put in place to prevent those things, right? And sure enough, nothing happened, and I'm just really grateful that nothing happened and nobody got hurt. There weren't any injuries or anything like that, like major injuries or anything that were cause for concern. And however, pretty sure that this convention is cursed now because uh, there wasn't a bomb threat, but there was a tornado. Yeah, there was a tornado. I don't know what to make of that. I don't really know what to make of this con's karma at this point, because why? If it's not a I'm sorry, if it's not an artificial disaster, it's a natural disaster. So what's the deal here, Michigan? What's going on? So anyway, uh, yeah, the tornado. Everybody. It happened on Sunday night after closing ceremonies, during the Dead Dog dance. So they had to stop the dance. My understanding is they had to stop the dance, and everybody had to huddle up and wait it out. And that's weird when you have to do that at a FurCon, because you're there to have fun, you're there to let loose, have a good time, and all that stuff. But like, like, come on. It's Sunday night. People are trying to get their last dance in, and we have a tornado. Why? Like, why? Come on. But anyway, nobody got hurt. There weren't any fatalities. No serious injuries, like I said, or anything. And the whole thing was over in like 15 minutes. It had just basically passed through, and that was it. You know, although let me tell you where I was during this time. I was getting pizza. I was out with my buddy who drove with me, because we decided to leave the con after closing ceremonies, so we could get hopefully get a jump on the rain, because it was gonna come down pretty hard, and it wasn't gonna stop either. Um, and so we hit up a Detroit style pizza place, which, by the way, if any of you are in Ann Arbor, Michigan at any point, go to Buddy's Pizza. That is a fantastic Detroit deep dish style pizza place, and oh gosh, it's so good. Anyway, so we're sitting in the restaurant, it's before heading home, having a slice, and we're looking outside, and we're seeing like 80-mile-per-hour winds, like bending the light poles, like they are swaying like trees in the wind. And it's weird seeing like a big tall piece of solid steel like bending and swifting and like whipping in the wind at 80 miles per hour. And the tornado siren goes off, and like it was like in an orchestral moment, everybody's phones just lit up with like a tornado warning. Because you know how you get Amber Alerts on your phone, and then like everybody's goes off at the same time? It was like that, but tornado warning, and you could hear everybody's phone just go burp, burp, like all in sync at the same time. And that was pretty scary. So what was really funny too, of course, we had the table that was next to one of the fire exits. Ugh, why? But anyway, and they were glass double doors, so if had one of those doors like whipped open, it would have hit my friend like straight in the back. It would like swung open and then like boom, hit him right in the back. But thankfully that didn't happen. However, it was a little funny, because the restaurant that we were eating at, Buddy's, their solution to keeping the door closed, they put a chair in front of it. And I don't mean like they wedged a chair underneath the knob or like the handle like you see in the movies. No. It was They literally just took one of the chairs from one of the tables and they just plopped it right in front of the door, and that was it. And we're looking at it laughing like, that ain't gonna hold. I don't think that's gonna hold. But thankfully, thankfully the whole thing, like I said, was over in like 15 minutes. The tornado had supposedly gone through, and we were just kind of left with like the sprinkling rain for a little bit, and however, I did end up driving almost 3 hours home in the pouring rain the whole time. Oof, slippery roads, and idiot drivers and you name it. Everything was just wow on that little road trip home. Oh my gosh. But we made it home somehow. I got home around 11 p.m. and I was just dogged. I am still dogged. I am not entirely recovered even still. So there you have it. I worked today. I worked yesterday. Also, shout out to my parents for their 35th wedding anniversary. Love you both. Um, but yeah, man, like I, I'm still not. I'm still not fully recovered from sleep. I'm still, slowly getting back into the routine of things. Today was a tiring day. I didn't sleep much last night, and like I'm still not fully 100%. And PCD, post-con depression, translation, um, still running rampant. I am just like, oh, I want to go back so bad. I miss it so much. But as they say, all good things come to an end. But we smile because they happened. So that's my MCFC adventure, everybody. And the next con that is coming up is going to be Texas Furry Fiesta, which is next week. So I'm getting ready. I need to get myself going here because it's going to be a busy week next week. So anyhow, that's the podcast. I think we'll end it here. I just want to once again say I want to thank you to all of you who came up to me and who said something very kind and got a hug, a picture, and everything at the convention this weekend. It just really meant the world to me. And oh, by the way, I meant to mention two things. Before I go, I did leave a bag of clothes in my hotel room because I know, and I got home and because there was like a garbage bag of clothes, and I was like, oh gosh, did they get thrown out by accident? I hope somebody didn't think that was garbage. So I was gonna call the hotel and be like, hey, weird question, but do you have like a white garbage bag? And that's a very generalized question. They're not gonna be rifling through the trash looking for my clothes, right? But I just decided before I called the hotel, put it out in the group chat, the room group chat, and see if anybody knows where it is. So I sent it out there, and then my lovely roomie was like, "Yeah, I have them." I'm like, "Why do you have my clothes?" And he was like, "I thought it was mine. Sorry." I was like, "You didn't check the bag?" And he's like, "Nope. I just kind of scooped up everything and threw it in my car." And I was like, "Oh, well, thanks." So as we speak right now, he is washing my clothes. Yeah. So shout out to Nave once again for being good boy, but also wow, what service? Am I right? But the only downside is that he has to ship him back to me, which is fine. I don't mind. I'm glad he is because there are some really important T-shirts in there that I'd like to get back, because they have sentimental value. So, yeah, thanks, Nave, for rescuing my clothes for me. I really do appreciate you. Um, so, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there as a little ending tidbit. So it just goes to show, friends are there for you in more than one way, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you, Nave. And thank you once again for making this weekend super special and for allowing me to stay in your room. It really does mean the world to me. And hey, shout out to Nave for being accepted into the United States Navy. He has worked so hard to get to this point because he's always, ever since he was probably yay big, in size, he's always wanted to be in the Navy. So I'm so proud of him. Thank you, Nave, for, once again, being there and, yeah, just opening up your room and being such a sweetheart. And, to all my roomies for making this weekend so beautiful. And again, to all of you who came up to me and said something, thank you again for all that you've done for me. You have no idea what it means, and I couldn't thank you enough. So in typical fashion, I want to just send you off with, a blessing. Remember the phrase, sic Parvis Magna. Remember greatness from small beginnings. Remember that you have a journey. You are on a journey. You've started this journey, and ways that nobody else can. Where you started and where you are now and where you're going in the future, there is greatness in every step. Let's not forget those who brought us up and those who continue to stand by us to this day so that we can stand by to others when they need us the most. In the same way, always be you, be yourself. Remember, no one can ever tell you what you can and can't do or what you can and can't be, because that is for you to decide. There has never been anyone like you, and you have a purpose. Only you can fulfill that purpose, and the world needs you just as you are. So, until next time, this is Samson Kitty Fox. Thank you for listening. Thank you for loving. Thank you for being you. And I will catch you in the next episode. Bye. Bye-bye. Love you.